homes were become more prevalent in the poverty-stricken country in recent years. As the cleanup continues, authorities are now focused on getting water, food and medication to some 60,000 Haitians living in shelters.
Well, Hurricane Matthew was the worst storm to hit the Caribbean in close to a decade. It went on to batter the southeastern United States with at least 18 people killed there. And while the storm is now long gone, the devastation remains, particularly in North Carolina. That southern state was hit with more than a foot of water in some places. Thousands of people were trapped in their homes or in their cars, and the Coast Guard was out in full force. One woman whose car was caught in the floods was only rescued after hanging onto a tree branch for 3 hours. Now, police in Germany have finally tracked down a terror suspect on the run since he slipped away during a raid to catch him. The 22-year-old Syrian refugee was arrested following a massive manhunt over the weekend. He was reportedly planning a bomb attack in the eastern German city of Chemnitz. Our Berlin correspondent Jessica Saltz told us more.
They have arrested this 22-year-old Syrian man, the young terror suspect who fled from police following the raid on the apartment he had been living in the eastern city of Chemnitz, which is about 85 kilometers south of Leipzig. Now, this man was believed by police to have been planning an imminent attack in Germany and is currently in police custody. Police raided his apartment in Chemnitz on Saturday morning, and they found several hundred grams of highly explosive material hidden in the apartment. Now, terror experts say that these explosive materials are actually very similar to those that were used in the Paris and Brussels attacks. And experts believe that this could indicate that, first of all, that this man was not acting alone in planning an attack, and that, second of all, that he had a certain amount of experience when it came to bomb building. But not much is currently known about Jabba al-Akbar, the terrorist. I just also want to, of course, investigate whether this man was acting alone or whether he was part of a network. His flatmate, who he was living with in Chemnitz, has also been arrested, currently in police custody in the city of Chemnitz.
That's our Berlin correspondent Jessica Saltz. Well, here in France, a police officer is fighting for his life after his patrol car was set on fire. 4 officers were hurt when a group of around 15 teenagers swarmed their cars in a suburb outside Paris. Rudaba Abbas has more now on how the community there is reacting to the violence.
Security forces patrol the streets of Viry-Châtillon, just south of Paris. Special teams have been deployed to carry out checks after an arson attack on 2 police vehicles. A gang of up to 15 masked people surrounded the patrol cars near a local housing estate. They smashed the car windows and pelted the 4 officers trapped inside with petrol bombs. All are receiving hospital treatment. Officials say one officer who suffered the worst burns is between life and death. The community says it's still coming to terms with what it witnessed.
I suddenly saw 4 policemen's bodies burning as they broke out of their cars. We threw some clothes on them to try and put out the flames all over their bodies. All their clothes were burnt. One of them had his trousers completely burnt through. It's shocking, very shocking.
I couldn't sleep all night. Yesterday, I spoke to 2 of the injured and just ended up crying. The policewoman kept calling for her children. She was not even thinking about the pain. She was just concerned for her children.
Witnesses say the violence began because of these surveillance cameras. The officers were on patrol checking for any suspicious activity in the area, regarded as a hotspot for drug trafficking. This family says it has been witnessing drug deals for many months.
As you can see, there's a truck burning. It was used to try to destroy the CCTV camera. They rammed a truck into a pole to try to bring it down.
I'm sure it was a gang of youths. We see them around.
Whenever we hear noises outside at night, we know it's them trying to destroy the camera. It shocks and disturbs my kids.
Detectives are continuing their search for vital clues as the investigation continues.
I'll leave you with that. You are watching France 24. Stay tuned. I'll be back in 15 minutes with more headlines.
The Netherlands are trying to put a brave face on the news. They'll be without captain Wesley Sneijder for Monday's World Cup qualifier. I've seen Griezmann playing on the wing in big games. At the Euros, there were some big changes to where Griezmann played, and he was successful as a team player. In the last two games, they have been playing 4-4-2 with Griezmann alongside Giroud, and in the last match with Gamero. We are aware of both options, and we will anticipate that with the squad that we have. The Dutch currently top Group A on goal difference ahead of France and Sweden, who also have 4 points from their 2 games. The French, though, will go into this one in Amsterdam on a high after the nature of their win over Bulgaria, their first Group A win of this World Cup qualifying campaign, to some degree putting to bed the pain of their infamous qualifier from 1993, when they conceded a late goal to lose 2-1 to the Bulgarians, a defeat that saw the team of Eric Cantona and David Ginola miss out on a place at the 1994 World Cup in the United States. Serbia won a 5-goal thriller with Austria in Sunday's European World Cup qualifying action to go top of Group D, level with the Republic of Ireland, who saw off Moldova. Croatia stayed top of Group I after they edged Finland on the same points as Iceland, who beat Turkey 2-0. Spain edged past the dogged Albania to go top to a 3-2 over the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia.
Spanish and Czech. Things are getting better in Bazum. There are lots of projects underway. We're building a beautiful new church, for instance. It's a big project that's bringing a lot of people together. Mostly the Catholic community, of course. But there are lots of Muslims who are pitching in, giving us help with transportation, with business connections, that kind of thing. Becoming an observer has meant a lot to me. I know the work I've been doing has made a difference, whether it's on a political level in this country or internationally.
Our observers often bring us stories that you don't find anywhere else, like Basirato Kindo, who keeps us posted on what life is like for women and men in Burkina Faso.
I love talking about issues that are important to women. Like when I saw men who were making dumplings and grinding manioc. It blew me away because that's normally women's work. It's rare to see that in Burkina, so I decided to talk about it. There's no need to say, oh, that work is for women, that work is for men. The first piece I did for the observers was about fake buttocks. I was in the market one day and I saw underwear that was padded to make the butt look bigger. I wanted to know why. The storekeepers said many women loved the underwear. I spoke to some women who had bought it. They said they wear it just for special occasions. They said you need to have a curvy body to look good in traditional clothes.
Like many of our observers, Basiratu has at times found herself at the heart of history as it is being made. Like when the people of Burkina Faso toppled President Blaise Compaoré in a popular uprising 2 years ago.
In 2014, everyone was focused on what was happening in Ouagadougou, the capital. But things were happening where I was too, in the second biggest city, Bobo-Dioulasso. People were out in the streets. There was a statue of the president. During the demonstrations, it was toppled. I wanted to talk about it to show that things were happening everywhere, not just in Ouagadougou. When I go abroad now and tell people my name, they say, oh yes, I've seen your articles on the Observers. It makes me really proud.
Volunteers organize regular workshops on sustainability for pupils and teachers too. Little by little, we're becoming qualified. In fact, we're being trained by them. We're being trained to learn how the school works, how to maintain it, so that the systems don't deteriorate. For these little garbage warriors, saving the planet has become an integral part of their homework.
Country fights a growing outbreak of cholera. And after a massive manhunt over the weekend, police in Germany say they have captured a Syrian refugee who was planning a bomb attack in the eastern city of Chemnitz. Thank you for joining us here on France 24 this hour. Welcome to our viewers around the world and to our listeners who are tuning in to our sister radio station RFI. I'm Jeannie Godula. Well, we'll start first in the U.S., where Donald Trump's hot mic video dominated presidential debate number 2 that was held last night in St. Louis, Missouri. Hillary Clinton said that was just another example of how Trump is unfit to be president. Donald Trump accused her of attacking women involved in Bill Clinton's extramarital affairs and defended his own behavior as just words.
This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. Certainly I'm not proud of it, but this is locker room talk. You know, when we have a world where you have ISIS chopping off heads, where you have, and frankly, drowning people in steel cages, where you have wars and horrible, horrible sights all over, where you have so many bad things happening. This is like medieval times. We haven't seen anything like this, the carnage all over the world. And they look and they see. Can you imagine the people that are frankly doing so well against us with ISIS, and they look at our country and they see what's going on? Yes, I'm very embarrassed by it. I hate it, but it's locker room talk.
What we all saw and heard on Friday was Donald talking about women, what he thinks about women, what he does to women, and he has said that the video doesn't represent who he is, but I think it's clear to anyone who heard it that it represents exactly who he is, because we've seen this throughout the campaign.
Now, to talk a bit more about the debate, I'm joined on the set by our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, there again, we heard Hillary talking about that video. Many of the dead are being buried in mass graves. The storm devastated much of southern Haiti, with many areas there still unreachable to rescuers. Phoebe Lancer-Wood told us more.
A sigh of relief as the first batch of food aid lands in Haiti. Last week, the country's southwest felt the full force of Hurricane Matthew. It left a wilderness in its wake. As many as 80% of the houses here were damaged. Emergency workers have come to the rescue to pick up the pieces.
There are already a lot of firefighters in Jeremy, but we've been sent from the capital to help the government as backup.
Haitian authorities are still unsure of the extent of the disaster. Some communities have been completely cut off. In southern Port Salut, these homes were virtually flattened by the Category 4 storm.
We've lost everything. We have nothing. The houses weren't built right, so that's why they came down. We have nothing. We have nowhere to go.
With no power and no fresh water, locals have taken to bathing in the sea.
We shouldn't really use the water because it's so polluted.
There are growing concerns about the spread of cholera, a disease that has become more prevalent in the poverty-stricken country in recent years. As the cleanup continues, authorities are now focused on getting water, food and medication to some 60,000 Haitians living in shelters.
Well, Hurricane Matthew was the worst storm to hit the Caribbean in close to a decade. It went on to batter the southeastern United States, with at least 18 people killed there. And while the storm is now long gone, the devastation remains, particularly in North Carolina. That state was hit with more than a foot of water in some places. Thousands were trapped in their homes or in their cars, and the Coast Guard was out in full force. One woman whose car was caught in the floods was only rescued after hanging onto a tree branch for 3 hours. Now, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia has declared a 6-month state of emergency. Rights groups say more than 500 people have been killed now in a series of violent protests that began last year. People from the country's two largest ethnic groups are demanding more political representation and freedom.